G'day and welcome to the Ball Boys AFL Fantasy Live Show. Getting ready for round 19 as we gear ourselves back up after what was the carnage rounds of the season. What are we going to do with all this carnage and how are we going to climb that chaos ladder? Let's go!
Hodge has done it from nowhere. Busted the goal from inside the circle. Sheed from the boundary. Dusty. You're a magician. Petrarca. The legend becomes immortal.
G'day and welcome again to the Ball Boys AFL Fantasy Podcast. I'm your host, Mitch Casey, and you can find me on Twitter at Ball Boys Fantasy. And I am joined by a man who has lost his fight with AFL Fantasy, and it is actually affecting his physical health now. Luke Rogerson, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. I tested positive for the mighty COVID. And it probably shows how desperate Mitch is to have me on the podcast that he said, I don't care if
we got to give the people what they want,
are
mate.
infected, coming up to the podcast room. So I'm just slightly battling, but I have done the responsible thing and I'll leave the beer drinking up to you today. It's actually quite cold up here in Brizzy.
Yeah, a bit of miserable weather.
Bit of a storm coming across.
Yeah. So
I've got a riddle to start the show for you.
All right.
How do you know when a coach has officially checked out of his fantasy team for the year?
Well, I know the answer to this, but it's something that you did last night. You completely forget to change your captain and vice captain from round to round, and then the merit captain that you had from last week is your captain this week in the Thursday night game, and you don't even use a VC option.
No, I'm pretty bold like that. I thought I got to give everyone else a chance, so I won't get the double dip at captaincy this week. I thought I'm just going to run a C straight into merit. No, I had this sickly feeling. Actually, halfway through reading a picture book to my daughter last night. I said, "You just hold up there, young fella, because
Kenzie.
I got to just quickly check my phone. What have I done?" And I confirmed.
Yeah.
Had the C on merit.
Yeah, 99, which is not really what you want. He was looking pretty poor there. Had 38 at halftime. So, you were hoping for one of those Matty Mottram's Zach Merritt second halves where he goes on to score the big hundo in the second half, but didn't quite get there. 61 in the second half to get 99. So, not disaster, but probably not ideal. He wasn't on the big boys. But what else happened last night?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Speaking of last night's game, no one really killed it. It was...
Yeah.
It had the potential, I think, for some of those GWS guys, but they ended up kind of just sharing the love around.
So Tom Green, 110, Whitfield, 109, Lockie Ash, 107, who is always in that bracket. Finn Callahan, 102, were probably the main ones we're looking at. Look, it was a game where it was almost too easy, especially for some of those halfbacks. They didn't need to chip it around. They just picked through the defence of Essendon and moved the ball up the ground quite simply. So, yeah, marks were down a little bit, and disposals just could have been higher, I think. But it leaves us with the question, what do we do with the 109 or the 110 if you had the vice captaincy on either of those players? Are we taking that this round?
Yeah, I'm no big boy expert. I think it does probably depend who you're going into. Like, I know you, for example, don't have some of those high-up guys that will be revealed in an upcoming segment.
In fact, these were the only two players that I have in my top 5.
Yeah, so I think there's a case to be made that you could be a little bit conservative. But if you have Brodie Grundy, if you have Jordan Dawson, I'm not taking 110 at this point in the season.
Yeah, we'll go on to my top 2/3 or 4 big boys later, and I do agree. If I had one of those top 2, I probably would ignore the score and go for it. A little bit tougher decision, I think, with the rest of the list, but we'll maybe talk that through once we get to it.
Zach Merritt, we'll circle back to him just quickly. I made a prediction a couple of weeks ago that if he played in that midfield role, that I felt really confident that over 7-game stretch, it was at that point, that he would average 110 for the rest of the year. I am now a lot more bearish on that at the moment because his team sucks so fucking much. There is no chance of him getting any outside pill. There were even a couple of examples last night where he worked a space what I thought out on the full, missed the kick, whatever the case is.
Just messed around with it.
To be honest, I think I'm going to adjust that take. And Zach Merritt, although if you have him, I don't think you're trading
No, I mean,
him.
he didn't get tags, which a lot of people were worried about in this game. And so 99 is not the end of the world. It's not
But it's the
what
game.
you'd hope for.
It's the game script, man. Like we were watching, and I think if our sources are correct, the Essendon S&C coach copped the
I think he got the boot. Yeah.
Well, I saw why last night.
There was players walking.
He was pretty horrific. So someone had to go.
Yeah,
Looks like it was him.
He's the scapegoat. I think I share your sentiment. The Essendon wasn't a good side to begin with, and then just the barrage of injuries they've copped, specifically into the midfield and halfbacks. Like their midfield and halfbacks. The old Minge, who plays for Adelaide.
I get it.
Yeah, I lost it. They're all decimated. So all their good ball users are pretty much gone.
Yeah.
So, just getting him the ball and keeping possession alive really is just really tough for Essendon at the moment. So, it's a tough ask compared to previous years.
Just to add salt to the wounds as well, 2 of the more relevant rookies at the moment, Harry Rouston and then Zach Johnson, both copped.
Big old sub. Big old vest.
Copped the green vest last night. So that essentially puts a fork in their cash generation. I know we're getting to that time of the
Archer
season.
May, 41, who might be cover for people's Paul Francis or Martin.
Yeah, he is for me as well. So 41 on field, that's a lock for me. And then, Johnson and Rouston put a fork in them. But we're going to cash them in anyway. But it's just a little more salt, I think.
It's all coming up at the same time. So we'll talk about some of the team reactions. I don't think I've not seen any super chats. Have you? No? All right.
You're dropping hints.
No. normally someone's coming through
Where's
right
Tim?
now.
Where's Tim?
Yeah, Tim's normally in there, but that's all right. He might come in later. So the team reactions. So obviously those big 4 players, they're all out. And Rosie was the one that was the questionable one. He was a test for this week. But in a way, it's kind of nice to know for certain he's out and he's not going to be like a late laid out or anything like that. So we know all 4 of them are out. Horn, Francis and Martin essentially out for the season. Sherry for 3 weeks. Rosie out for this week at least. One interesting thing, if we look at that North Melbourne replacement, so they've brought in both Bryn Teakle and Coleman Jones.
Okay.
And also on the other side, Peter Laddams has come in for Sydney. Now, this might just be my non-Grundy owning bias here.
Bit of a rest.
But is this what's going on here? Could we see a bit of a rest, or are they just trying to they've got 2 ruckmans to go up against in Coleman Jones and Teakle? Obviously not the best ruckman,
This
but
is great.
2, and then you got Laddams to throw into the mix as well.
This might be an exercise in speaking it into existence. I think the North Melbourne side of things, I think, is an easy read. Let's try and beat Grundy by committee. I think we bring in. Obviously, they're going to play a little bit of forward time, but I just think you're not going to replace Sherry with one dude necessarily.
You need to.
Plus, I think who was normally chopping out for Sherry was Larky going in there. Larky was injured.
No, it wasn't Larky. It was
who am I thinking
Darling.
of? Darling.
Yeah.
So I think hopefully they're going to just try and beat that dominant ruckman by committee. But yeah, I don't mind your theory here. If this is not a sneaky rest, at least this is just more of a chop out in the game, I think. So
also my boy Zachy Banch, who I was popping up a few weeks ago in the buys to come on. Just a few weeks too early, ahead of my time. But he's in there for his debut.
Sickening.
As I think he's a 230k forward option, but I think no one's really looking there this week. Other team news: Tim Kelly, he's in for West Coast. I bring him up as a cheap forward option. He is 500 and something K.
is he really?
He is very cheap.
That is
he
sickening.
plays Richmond.
Ooh, it's a tasty little treat.
As a forward option. Tim Kelly. He's a good player.
Tim Kelly's a good player.
Could you go Tim Kelly as an option, maybe ahead of like Jack Martin or something like that, as a bit of a speculative guy? I think he's averaged over 85 basically every year he's played, except for this year where he's averaging like 50.
Yeah, and it's not a small sample size either. He's missed a couple of games this year, but having a look at what he does have Richmond, but I just don't know if that's enough to save him. His best score this year is just triple figures, and that was against the Lions. So, there's not even a suggestion that he beats up on shit teams. He played Richmond earlier in the season, a 52. So I think that maybe that's a shot in the dark, Mitch.
It is a bit of a shot in the dark, but hey, that might be where we are at.
This is desperation. This is the level of... We reek of desperation here.
Hugo Garcia out for the Saints. Now, he's been doing a little bit of like cooling roles, like a little mini tag, like a row bottom type role in the past few weeks. So, just noted that he is out for the Saints this week against the Cats. So, wonder if that means we'll see Windhager back in there, or if they just choose to go head to head.
I was just reading an article before. Did you see that our beloved Wang was copping some heat midweek?
No.
I read, apparently after...
You should get checked for that, actually.
The game on the... Yes, see a GP. No, I saw that he was copying a bit of online hate for maybe not having enough possessions. But
online hate for Wang? No, I won't stand by it.
Yeah, there's websites you can go to hate online Wang. The issue for me was, and the article, I don't know how much truth this is, it cited people who were betting on the game were angry at Wang's disposal count. Now, I don't know if a broad term for people betting on the game encompasses fantasy.
No, we're above those.
But also
those gambling addicts. There's nothing that we do that's close to addiction type behaviour.
If you were betting on Wang's disposal count, knowing that James Jordan was about to tag the living hell out of him,
then
that's a you issue. That's
on
you
you,
issue.
Bro. Yeah, come on, man. Listen to the podcast. We had that coming. Yeah.
No more Wang hate.
No, we love Wang, and we also love Desire. Let's talk about our boy, the top knot himself, Hayden Young.
In he comes. How can I get this man in my team?
He's back in. Is he an option?
If my team sucks ass so bad, I may as well finish the year with Hayden Young.
Hey, he and again, I'm wondering how this affects the rest of the Freo midfield. Is this because they've been tagging with the Wags? does this maybe lead them to not do that as readily? I know they have... Who do they play this week? Oh, they play Collingwood. So they'll probably still go with that Dacos one because it worked last time, I believe. Kept him quiet.
Yeah, no, you're right in saying that.
Maybe he'll just come off the half forward line or half back line and just tag him from there, but not at centre bounces.
Yeah, he could do. Hayden Young, when he's up and running, I think is close to their best centre bounce midfielder, just in terms of that explosion away from stoppage. So good to see Hayden back.
And in that same game, Dan Houston is out injured, which, a lot of hype about Josh Dacos going to the midfield and how well he did last game.
Yeah.
This injury, and at least Houston being out this week, might keep him in the back line.
Yeah.
I think I've seen some quotes that suggest that as well. So
Well, add Jeremy Howe to that equation too, because it would be pretty brazen for them to lose 2 defenders and then lose a third to the midfield.
Yeah. So I think, I think maybe we'll park that for a week.
Tom Mitchell did get managed.
I did see that. Yeah. So I don't know. They could go a number of different ways. There's a lot of ins, a lot of outs there for Collingwood.
Crunch some numbers there. That's a math equation to work out what's going on there.
But they still have, as the teams get trimmed, so they still have Mason Cox in their side. Is the other thing that we were watching. So, as someone who may or may not be trading in a Darcy Cameron. We like Wang, but we don't like Cox, Luke. Big difference there.
Yeah, it's a bit of an oxymoron, isn't it? But
yeah.
No,
I think I'll stand by it. But just checking the Sunday squads and what they got trimmed to. Nothing else really there to report.
While you check
Butts
that,
is also out. So
Butts is out.
So
Yep.
Cox in, Butts out.
Yeah.
For what that's worth. All right, Matt's got a super chat question here. He says, Splash Brothers here snuck into first after last night. Had the VC on Whitfield. Does my rank change the decision to roll into Grundy or not? Yes, I do remember Splash Brothers. He part of the Patreon family, and I did notice that he got into first. It is always dangerous. I think he was what, 4th or 5th
I hope
going into the round.
I hope you are screenshotting the shit out of that, Matt. That should just be...
I would still be trying to, remove the rank, remove the ownership, and just try and make the best play possible. I still think I would probably go into Grundy.
Yeah.
Grundy has not dropped below 100 since round 8. And he has not dropped below 110 since round 8. His lowest score in that time was 111. So I don't know if he's going to have like a 160 kind of thing there, but I do feel like he's a pretty safe 120.
Yeah. Nice.
Sorry, Splash Brothers.
I'd imagine, I'm going to say I imagine because I've never been there, but it's purely psychological when you get to that point because...
It's a lot of pressure.
The reason you got to that point was backing your convictions, listening to all the information out there. Mm-hmm. It seems silly to get into that position and then start thinking about making decisions differently. So,
and you're number one now, but like at the start of the round, you were chasing the number one, so I still think you got to be in that sort of mindset a little bit as well.
Yeah.
So long time to go. So I'd still be just trying to make the best play, and at least... To my eyes, the best play is going Grundy with the C this week.
Let's go, Matt. Let's go.
Here comes Tim. Sheasel or Zorko, and he has no Martin to McRae, and have no X. So Martin to McRae and Rosie to Zorko or Sheasel. So he's doing the Martin to McRae. Tick that one off.
Yep.
And the Rosie trade is either to Zorko or Sheasel. I don't know if we can trust Sheasel at the moment with what he's been doing in terms of his role.
Yeah, for me, he sits right in that category of players that if you own, you wouldn't trade out, but it makes them harder to trade in. Dane Zorko...
Very much could get a tag this week from Sydney as well. They are one of the most prolific tagging teams.
Yeah, and Dane Zorko hasn't been setting the world on fire.
They're coming into a better run.
Yeah, and we know what Dane Zorko's like. I like the idea of betting on self-interest, and there's just there's a few players in the AFL that I trust that just have a real interest in their own stats, and Dane Zorko might even be at the top of that list.
I mean, in his last 4 games, he's only had one score below 104. Like, he's 104, 79. The 79 makes it seem a bit crap, but it was against Port Adelaide.
Yeah. So where do the Bulldogs and then the Suns sort of fare for?
I think the Bulldogs are neutral. Suns are slightly positive. The only matchup in there that I would be a little bit concerned about is that Sydney matchup. But again, we've got so much time. It almost is starting to become a more week-by-week situation. So, Tim, I would go Zorko if I had the choice of those. And I do absolutely tick off your Martin to McRae trade. I think that's a good move.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Tim's going well this year as well.
Tim
so
is
keep up the good
right
work.
on the hat chase. All right.
Absolutely.
Should we talk about some large men?
Large boys, let me get you your music, mate. I know you love your music.
I do love my music.
Do you have your goggles this week or did you forget again?
No, they're lost in the nether.
Lost to time.
They're gone.
Okay, big boys. Okay, Mitch. Who are you hiding from me this week?
Well, I thought I'd go a little different this week to everyone else out there picking captains and put Brodie Grundy as my number one captain option this week. I know, shocker. He's averaging 125 essentially in his last, I think it's 10 games or 9 games.
Okay.
And like I said, hasn't dropped below 110 in that time. Comes up against a team that would otherwise be tough, but that is without their potential All-Australian ruckman. They were really pumping that up last game against Max. And he is someone who should dominate in the ruck. Also, North Melbourne are the second highest team for ruck contests in the competition for the season. So
Bodes well.
It bodes well for him just dominating the competition. Slight flag, Laddams. Although, really, are we really worried about that? It's such a minor thing. He's been playing so well.
I mean, unless the specific intention there is okay, but look, a rest for Sydney, a rest doesn't make sense.
No,
here anyway.
they're guns to the They've got to get their butts moving.
I kind of don't buy into that logic. The one thing I will say is, has this done a little bit of moving and shaking earlier in the week? Maybe Grundy wasn't at the top of the list?
Yeah, look, I originally had Jordan Dawson there, but I'm just looking into like North Melbourne and the fact that they're so high in terms of the ruck contests and just Brodie Grundy's consistency. I need to move past the fact that I didn't expect this from him this season, and something clearly has changed in his last 10 games or so. So, maybe a bit of stubbornness from me earlier in the week, but I still think he is the safest captain this round. But number 2 is Jordan Dawson. This matchup is like picture perfect for Dawson, I believe, because...
Was pitch perfect for Nick Dacos last week?
No. It's Jordan Dawson's number 1 matchup because guess what, Luke? Tackles are back. Tackles are back in a big way. We saw some big tackles last week, even in that Gold Coast game. I know Nick Dacos didn't get them because he hurt himself, but there were some big tackles in that game, and Champion Data are rewarding tackles now that they weren't before. Thanks maybe in part to a little bit of a little Josh Dunkley. So I think Jordan Dawson will dominate because Gold Coast give up the most amount of tackles for the season and they don't tag. It'll be a big game for both squads, and I think, like we saw last week against the Bulldogs, Jordan Dawson rises to the occasion there. I had Lockie Whitfield at number 3, and I also had Tom Green at number 5, but in between those two Giants players, I'm putting your boy Errol Goulden in there against North Melbourne. If he's not going to get it done against teams that give up points to outside mids, then he's going to get it done against teams that give up points to inside mids, which is North Melbourne. And without their big ruckman, I think it could be even better. And maybe just a little bit more waxing, I think, if they do get on top of the game in a big way. So those are the big 5.
You can't see Errol having 2 bad games in a row.
I will say that number 6 for me, and this is the choice that I have now, is Andrew Brayshaw is my number 6. Because he has Collingwood coming off a 138 with his 14 tackles. Won't get tagged. I believe he had like a 116 or something like that the last time he played Collingwood. So 119. So the decision is there whether or not I take the Whitfield 109 or go into a Brayshaw. I feel less certain about that than if I had Grundy.
Yeah, no doubt.
So my plan is to wait and see because they play the second last game of the round. I'm going to sort of just wait and see if Grundy goes absolutely enormous and a lot of people have him as their vice captain, then I might just go for it. If Grundy goes a bit so-so, then I might take my 109.
Play conservative.
Yeah, that's sort of my plan.
A few good options there. I think that most teams will likely be in a slightly better position than you, I think, with some options this week.
Yeah,
so.
For sure.
Beautiful. You ready to get spicy, mate?
Yes. Let's get less spicy.
Let me get my Jack Maracas.
Mate, just
narrative.
quietly, it is
Didn't really work.
It is bucketing down outside. It is.
It is. Hopefully you're not picking it up on the mics, but it's torrential up here in Brisbane.
There is a game tonight at the Gabba, so my boy Sam Darcy. Not the best for him, so hopefully the rain can settle down. All right.
Make it better with a spicy take then, mate.
My spicy take, you know how it is with these spicy takes. It's all about optimism. It's all about speaking things into existence. And my spicy take is that one Darcy Cameron, who, ironically, was the replacement for Brodie Grundy when he left Collingwood. I think he's a better player. And I think he's going to score better than Brodie Grundy this weekend versus the Freo Dockers. He is someone who I think will towel up Sean Darcy, to be Darcy's, and just run him around the ground, and they get a dominant win. So that's it. Brodie Grundy gets outscored by Darcy Cameron.
Ever the optimists. I am going to try something a little different today. My season's done. So I'm gonna quit the selfish act, and I'm gonna go and try and do something for the rest of the community. I think that Matt Kennedy has a bounce back performance.
Oh,
tonight.
What a selfless act here!
Super selfless. I don't own the guy, but 30 is too much of an outlier for me to not see him bouncing back. I think even if the role doesn't get back to exactly where it was, I back this guy. It's a tough matchup, so that's what makes it spicy. But I think
I reckon he does well in the wet weather too.
I reckon he could come back for a 110 plus. It's a big game tonight, and like you said,
big game
at the Gabatoir. So there's one for the Matt Kennedy owners out there. No, it's not. It'll be good.
Okay. I see right through you, mate. I see right through. So drop your spicy take, guys, in the comment section below. And if you have some questions, this is now where we're going to get to some of the questions in the chat. So drop them in there, guys, and we will get right to them. Tim's throwing another super chat our way, asking if we saw his super chat. Yes, we did, mate. Hopefully you caught us answering that question, but we gave the tick off to the McRae trade. And we said, who do we say? Zorko over Sheasel. So
yeah, just the roll certainty.
Hopefully that answers your first question, mate.
Beautiful. Okay, Andrew's jumped in here. Andrew said, thoughts on Martin to Jake Melksham?
Oh, Melksham.
Sherry to Brodie Grundy. The Sherry to Grundy side of things, I think we're happy to go there. The Milkman. The Milkman.
This is a bit left field to me. He has actually had a couple of really good scores.
Yeah, he's had a couple of 5-goal performances, I think.
So recently. He had, 5 goals, 4 goals, 5 goals in his last 3 games. The issue here is 2 of those 3 games have been... One's been okay, 84. 5 goals against North. Okay. 4 goals for 62. Like, I think we need just a bit better than that. Yes, he had that 128, so that's possible, but I would look elsewhere. I'd probably shop with other players like a Jack Martin who's playing a half-back role. I'd even take a punt on a Tim Kelly before that, who's 100k cheaper. Yeah,
I mean, Melksham, I know it was a Port Adelaide matchup a few weeks back, but he had a 29 in like 80% game time. It's just the role he's playing. You'll get some big games, but I would maybe steer clear of Melksham there, Andrew.
I probably wouldn't go there myself. But there are players around that price that you could go instead and still get your Brodie Grundy in, I think. Okay,
Mitch here had a little combo for us. Grundy and Parker, or is it Gawn and Myers? Let's talk Grundy versus Gawn. You, I think, are maybe just on the side of Brodie Grundy. I am happy to advocate for people going Gawn to maybe get a better player on the other side of the trade.
Yeah.
But just know that Grundy's very likely to outscore Gawn this week.
I think it depends on how many injuries you might have copped last week. If you have like 4 injuries and you're going to have some more fix-ups guaranteed next week, getting someone in like a... who's the North Melbourne player? Parker.
Yep.
Luke Parker?
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's going to be something you're going to want to fix up anyway. And I don't think you're going to want to run with that for too long. However, going Gawn and Myers, I think are 2 top-of-the-line guys.
Yeah.
So that's going to leave you just room to take a deep breath and not have to worry about those sort of things and fix up the other things in your side. If, for example, you only had 2 injuries and you're fixing them both up this week, then you might be able to go that other option and then just trade out someone like a Parker next week to a better option. And then you've locked in Grundy for this round where I think he's going to go big. Gawn's also got a really high break even and not the easiest matchup. Like, he's not in my top 10 big boys.
Yeah, double ruck combo is coming up against
Double ruck combo. So it is sort of a more of a week-by-week play to go that way, and so that's going to depend on your team situation. But I think in all situations, that could be the way to go.
Power Bugs hit you with the Uno reverse on your spicy take, mate. It says, spicy take, Mitch's spicy take works out, but then Darcy Cameron gets rested versus Richmond next week.
Okay.
That would hurt.
It would hurt, but again, this is where, again, it's lucky for me because I only have the 2 injuries. Then I Uno reverse it back and just trade into Max Gorm when he's cheaper.
It's
so that's what I'm hoping.
I think you'd like the Richmond matchup, but
I would prefer the Richmond matchup, to be fair, but
I do love the intricate spicy take, however.
I've factored that in.
Laura here, thoughts on VC Bontempelli tonight? Likes it hard.
He does like it hard.
The moist meter is going off here in my pocket. I don't know if you can hear it.
No.
Can you feel it?
Oh, Jesus.
Just put your hand in my pocket.
Okay, please no. I will not. You disgusting creep. He does seem to like it tough. I mean, against Adelaide last week, 166, biggest score of the season. Surely Brisbane are like, okay, Bont, 37 touches, 8 marks, 12 tackles. You're not getting that against us. Dunkley's going to sit on him for sure. And while it might not be a tag, I never want to rule out Bont. Let me just put it that way. I don't want to say that he can't do it. So he's a great VC because he has that ceiling. I just think there may be better options this week. But as a punt, he obviously can go massive.
Yeah, he can. James wants to know if we keep tally of the super chats and hypothesizes here that Tim is close to pushing 5 figures on the super chat. Tim is single-handedly funding the end-of-season company soiree. But we appreciate it.
We appreciate it, and we know that Tim is up there. He's actually had a great season, so the stress can come up there. I mean, you might not understand this, Luke, because you've never been there yourself. But when you're up at the pointy end and the double digits, it's you want people to bounce off ideas. So
we do. We really appreciate anyone who gives a super chat is more than we could ever expect. Parting with your own hard earned. Speaking of which, Cal, thank you very much. We appreciate it. And Cal says, which trades do we go? Grundy and Warner, or is it Gawn and Myers, or Goulden and Myers with Jackson moved? So this is an extra element that other people might have, is the ability to move Jackson to R2. What say you, Mitch?
So just scroll up for a bit so I can see the options again, because I'm slow. So Grundy and Warner, Gawn and Myers, or Myers and Goulden with Jackson. So the other thing about Jackson that I do like, if you have a forward in your team that you want to trade out relatively urgently, being able to go to him back to Max Gawn next week when Max Gawn is cheaper and going into a much better run of games really appeals to me. You're going to capitalize on Errol's good matchup this week. I think he's a top 8 mid. Myers seems like a top 6 forward. So I'm leaning that way because you're playing that break-even game while still getting in top-of-the-line guys.
Yeah.
And just that flexibility seems really nice if something strange happens. With that said, Warner also has a great matchup this week in versus North Melbourne, but I don't know.
He's a bit meh. I understand why, Cal, it becomes a hard decision. It's all to do with Grundy. That the fact of it is, well, just everyone's shitting their pants if you're thinking of going against Grundy this week. But
I think you can go against Grundy if it's with Max.
Well, yeah, and I think that having Jackson in your forward line is just like almost custom built for this scenario. And Max Gawn, like I said, I think he's going to score less than what Grundy does this week. But I actually think that there's a pretty good scenario where Gawn matches it with Grundy if you look at the last...
Yeah.
How many games we got left? 6 games? 7 games?
Yeah.
So I don't think long-term you lose out.
And in this situation, you're not comparing Grundy with Jackson because Jackson's already in your side. So you're comparing Grundy with Goulden.
Yes.
For this week.
And
there's a very real scenario where Errol totally outscores him.
That's a man who finds Pill, and they've got that same matchup.
Yeah,
so.
Which is, at least obviously, with Tristan Sherry being in the team, that's been a far better matchup for midfielders. Now, obviously, it's changed this week. We don't have any data or sample on this. There's been times where maybe it is just like a bit of a game style, and they play a tough game as far as ruck contests go. I mean, obviously, Tristan Sherry's a big part of it, but maybe he's not everything.
No.
So
I
think yeah. Based on this, I'd go Errol and Myers, and then aim to get Gawn in next week with a forward. I mean, if you're really happy with your forward line, then maybe you don't do that. Maybe there's no one you're sitting in there, but I think maybe you go there again.
Dave, thank you very much for your super chat. We appreciate it. Dave's season on the line, and I believe he's got a draft question, Mitch. That's your wheelhouse. What has he got for us? D.
Rioli coming off a big 90, but against the Crows, or Hayden Young. First game back. No pressure. Serious pressure.
You want to win your draft matchup, so this is big.
Against Collingwood. Ooh,
Collingwood aren't particularly fruitful, are they?
So the wording was when Hayden Young was named back in the side is that he had a great week on the track. And he's come straight into the side.
They typically don't say the opposite.
Yeah, fair. So Ryan Daniels, after another strong week on the track, Hayden Young is likely to play his first AFL game since round 8. Working through what his return will look like in terms of role and minutes is Freo. Okay, that line there just makes me hesitate, and I'm going to go with Rioli.
Rioli hasn't been awesome. Like, okay, is Hayden Young going to score more than 64? Is he going to score more than 62? Is he going to score more than 73, 78?
He's definitely got the highest ceiling, doesn't he?
Those are Rioli's last 5 that I just rattled off there, and I think that...
Well, Dave, let me return serve to you and ask yourself this. Are you the underdog in this matchup? Do you feel like you're the team that needs to go beyond what it normally does to win? And if the answer is yes, I think you go Hayden Young. If you're maybe the favoured team, I think Rioli's a safer choice because there's less question marks returning from injury, role, and things like that.
If you're fortunate enough to have one of the players in your team that were on the big boys before as well, that might be something to factor in. Let's say the other team's got Dawson, you don't have a great captain option. Okay, well maybe we need to go testicles on the Gyprock here, or vice versa. So that could
and
factor
both those teams are playing late, so it's the last 2 games. So you might basically
you're going to know
how you're sitting against the matchup. If it is a rolling lockout, some draft leagues are the fixed lockout. So if that is the opportunity, do that. But otherwise, I think if you really press me, I'd say Rioli.
Giorgio asks, what does Ned Long score now that Tom Mitchell is rested? Ned Long, we talked about this a couple of days ago, Mitch, but I kind of tricked myself into thinking that Ned Long was God's gift at one point in the season. He had it might have been even 2-3 games
He's an 85 guy.
It was 3 games there where he had a good little run up to his bye, and I thought, this guy is on fire. I might even keep this guy for the rest of the season. But I neglected to look at the fact that outside of that, he's
not been that great.
He's not been that great. So I don't even know how much Tom Mitchell factors into that, to be honest. I think that he just maybe got on a little hot run there. I don't have the luxury of trading him out, but if you do here...
No, I wouldn't get your hopes up too high. I think 80 to 90 would be about what I'd expect.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have to concede there.
Yeah. All right, let's maybe do another couple more questions, and then we'll let these guys run, and we'll let you rest up, Luke, because... You're doing us a solid by getting on the podcast tonight despite your ailment, injuries and sickness.
Absolute bravery, mate. I can't imagine there is anyone in the world that is putting on a braver face than me right now.
All right, 2 more questions. Hit me with a good one. Let's maybe go... Greeny asks about Meek and McRae or Gawn versus Parker / Chad. What are your thoughts on Meek? Because I think some people also asked if Meek is maybe a bit of a trap. He is one of the cheaper options. He's below $1 million. Okay. I'm not a fan.
No, nor am I. We gave a little bit of insight here on the Wednesday show for the Patreon members. I won't go into as much detail as we did then, but good matchup this week against Port Adelaide. It is red after that. So I know that people will come back at me and say, okay, well, he could be a 1-week play. And yes, you would be right. He's on a little run of 130s.
58 break even lends itself to that as well.
But we know in fantasy that things can go awry very quickly. And if you're forced to hold Lloyd Meek, I think you could end up very meek for the remainder of the season. So maybe just a little put a pin in that, I guess. Yeah, keep it in mind.
Dave says, great answer. Do you know my wife? Who's asking, Dave?
Reminds me of the Uber Eats conversation. Bit of back and forth there, you think, Dave?
Yeah,
Bit of tennis. Hey, we never profess to have an answer, but we always promise that we'll hash it out, I guess.
Yeah.
You'll always hear our thoughts.
Rioli. There you go.
No, Hayden Young, bro.
Okay, there you go.
And what are you getting for dinner tonight?
Yeah, what are you getting for dinner? What do you have for dinner, Luke? I know we're cooking up. We're straying away from the takeaway Friday night tradition.
Just an immunisation.
Yeah, just straight injection.
For dinner. Yeah, put it in my veins.
Straight drugs for
Hook
dinner.
me up.
I'm having a nice pasta bake. All right, one more question.
I didn't ask.
Here. Okay, cool.
What do you think? Tyler's question here?
Tyler's question. So in his draft league, so I think he's looking for a captain. Nank versus the Eagles instead of a Goulden, who is the top 5. I did have a look at Nank, and Nank spent some time in my top 10. But the more I just looked into his season this year, the less confident I got. And I think
last time he played the Eagles, it was
he just versed Essendon, who's an easy matchup for rucks anyway. And scored a 78. He versed Tim English in round 15 for a 67.
And he
versed West Coast for a 93.
Just on the opposite side of it, his biggest matchup of the year was 150 against a seemingly tough matchup in Tristan Sherry. So
yeah,
it doesn't seem to be rhyme or reason.
Yeah, so I think that's what just put me off Nank. I mean, on paper, you'd say, okay, it's a great matchup. But yeah, in this same matchup, he scored a 93. I wouldn't want to pass Goulden for chasing that kind of a run. And to finish up the podcast, Tim follows it up with a do you think it is impressive? Team in the top 100, ranked 37 at the moment. I think it's very impressive, Luke. I'll trade places with you any day, Tim.
100%, Tim. You're killing it this year, and you obviously are onto your fantasy content. So hats off to you, and perhaps hats on to you later in the season. So no, we always appreciate your involvement, Tim.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. And if you didn't get your question answer, pop them down in the comments below, or talk amongst yourselves. And there is definitely some smart minds out there, as well as us, that can get your answer. And if you want your question answered with a guarantee, head over to patreon.com/ballboys. There's still plenty of time, especially if you're in the pointy end. You want someone to bounce your ideas off. We answer every single question on a Wednesday night, so go over to Patreon.
Last one, because we just slightly missed part of Greeny's question before. Chad over Parker, Greeny. I think Chad has a better matchup this week.
Yeah, I'd go Chad over Parker.
More certain. So yeah, Gawn and Chad would potentially be the answer if you want one there.
Yeah, I forget which one was Greeny's question, but yeah, if it is just Chad or Parker, I'd go Chad. All right, thank you very much, guys. We'll see you guys after the round. Hopefully it's a big one for you all, and we all bounce back from a horrible run of injuries last week. Let's climb that chaos ladder together, and we'll see you guys later. Bye!